Hello. So, this is going to be the first of the devlogs, and if you just watched the channel introduction, this might actually be a little bit funny because I mentioned that I'm not really great at learning by following tutorials, and yet this is, you may recognize it, is following a tutorial by the Unity YouTube channel on how to build a text-based game. And I'll actually link that in the description. I'll link both parts because they're super insightful, super useful, um, really helpful. And the reason why I'm following a tutorial for this one was because I kind of set out that as I'm learning Unity, I'm going to learn it by building projects. And then the kind of idea was, well, what do I want to build? And I really love text-based games. The focus on the story and like world building through words is something that I really, really love. I just find it, you know, really interesting. And when I was little, I played a ton of text-based games just for fun. And obviously, like, the ability to let them happen in a terminal but not really be text games by creating imagery using text, like for instance like ASCII, and things like that, it's really charming. So I want to start out with one of those. It was a fairly low level project within the scope of game dev and Unity, um, but I really had no clue where to start because this is probably my second time using Unity for an actual project. And I like games, I like playing them, but I'm just starting to learn how to make them. So I figured I'd start with a tutorial, take it as far as it goes, and then make the game mine. And from what I understand right now, the tutorial is basically leading to two things. One, room navigation, setting up the rooms, text input, and then the other part is like items and interacting with items. Basically teaching you how to create, instantiate, and then interact with elements. Um, and so my goal is to, after I finish those, maybe implement like an enemy system, a health system, stats system, just something to make the game more than it is right now. Because if I just build the tutorial, I'm not going to learn anything. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. And let me just go through everything that you see on the screen. Um, oh, my mouse. All right, cool, we're good. Okay, so first thing is text-based game. I really want it to be in like a terminal interface where it shows up here and then you respond and then it logs what happens and it responds, you respond, so on and so forth. And the reason why is, again, I just found it really charming. I thought it was cool. And you could ask, well, why didn't you do it in just a script, in like VS Code or something, in some language, random language? You can do it in Python, JS, whatever you want, and just actually have it run in terminal. And the short answer is more customizability, and it's mostly more customizability. And then I also want to like have a little bit more control over what the user actually sees. So past customizability, I want complete control of the project. And I think that'll be easier using a tool that's built for it, aka Unity, as opposed to just coding it in the script. Because like to manage the rooms and like user position and stuff like that, if I was like using just a script, I would have to like initialize like an array, and maybe it would be an array of arrays or an array of trees, right? And that would map the storyline. But in Unity, I can just actually create the different rooms and have that track itself, So it's just easier, it's simpler, and it's not making it harder than necessary while allowing me to learn this tool that I'll need to learn. And I really want to learn Unity because I really want to look for internships. I want to get experience, hands-on experience in the field, learning to work in a team, that kind of thing. And I'm really looking for internships in my next 2 summers while I'm still in school for CS. So fingers crossed, hoping for the best. But okay, so let's go through everything that's here. So first we have this canvas, which is just like the black background, and it has everything inside of it that you see on your screen, right? Which is like the big piece is like the input field and the display text. So the input field is a function of Unity UI, which basically allows you to have an area that the user can input, like give an input of some kind, and the game will receive it, translate it based on the code that you create, right? So this is just the placeholder area where you see this enter text, and then this is the actual text, which is where they'll type and enter their input. And we have display text, and this is just dummy text, User will never ever see this. It's only for me to see things like when I do this, how it wraps properly, and, just things like that. Oh, I gotta, I'm gonna fix this. I'll figure that out later, because I just noticed that this is not moving or not staying properly. Actually, I think I can just fix that by doing this. That should work. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Let me save that actually. All right, cool. So that's what you see on your screen, and then we have the game controller and the event system, and event system manages all of the Unity's interior stuff, and how to handle the activation of events, and the game controller is everything else. It uses these scriptable objects and mono behavior scripts, and it just creates the game. Not too complicated right now. We have a script for how an exit works, which is basically what classifies an exit moving through rooms. We have our go script, which is like the command to move between rooms. Input action and game controller and text input all work together to receive, understand, and then make action with input. And then room and room navigation work together to create and then allow users to move between rooms using the go script. Go, orb room, and starting room are all just rooms that exist right now, and this is the package for the font. Okay, so now that we have all of that laid out, everything that's on your screen, let's actually take a look at what there is so far. Super tiny. I really like it so far, and I can't wait to add more. Okay, so let's see. So first we start it, and again, this is what the user sees when the game initializes, which is why they don't see the dummy text. The dungeon door slams shut behind you. You are in a maze of twisty little passages, all alike. You see a dark doorway to the north, and it's like, oh, well, go north. Right? You head off to the north. You are now in a vast dark hall. There's a door to the south with light coming through it. And this, north, and then you go south, you reach where you started. So you go south and you come back, right? And adding rooms is like super, super simple, right? So let's do something really quick. Let's add another exit, right? And let's change this to west. And then there is dimly lit. There is a barely visible outline of a doorway to the west, right? Okay, so we've created that, and now let's create another room. So create text adventure room, and let's call this room dead end. Okay, and then we'll create the exit will be back. You reach dead end. There is no way forward, only back, right? Okay. Let's see. So let's actually put this in description, and sorry if this is over explaining, but I just want to kind of demonstrate how it works. It's you enter into a corridor lit dimly by a torch. You realize, and then what? Okay. You realize that you've reached dead end. Okay. So, and then we'll put the value room. We'll put that to. Let's go. This is in orb room, right? So we'll take orb room and we'll put that here, and then we'll go rename this to dead end. Dead end. Okay. And then we go to orb room and we set this west to dead end, right? And now we save it, run it. Now let's see. Okay, so now we reach back to where we started, right? Dungeon door stands behind you, yada yada yada. Go north, right? Go north, and then we see another piece of text. You're in a vast dark hall. There's a door to the south with light coming through it. There's a barely visible outline of a doorway to the west. Now, if you go south, you get back to the starting room. So let's head west. Go west, right? And then because we set the key string here to west, it's looking for go, go, and it's looking for west. And when the user types go west, it implements the command go in the key string direction of west, which is here. And then it triggers all of the text here, right? And then it reaches into dead end, and it pulls out the description and plays it out. You wander into a corridor lit dimly by a torch. You realize that you've reached a dead end, right? And then it plays the exit description, which is basically the instruction that the user has on which way to go. Now, if you type go forward, it just spits out the text back to you, and then it says there is no path forward, right? If you spit go back, you're in a vast dark hall. You see? You've reached the orb door before that, and then if you go south, right, then you go back to where you started. And then this is kind of like just the general explanation of what's going on. And so that's how you like add a room, right? And now one thing I want to implement is maybe in the top right here, I want to kind of like create like a map of sorts that'll show the rooms that the user has gone through, just so it's not too confusing. But then I kind of need to decide, do I want this to be a exploration puzzle game? Do I want this to be a or do I want this to be more of a fighting game? And if I were to do a fighting game, then my focus would be less on how complex the room system was and the different branching, corridors and stuff like that, and more on the fighting system and user interaction with stats and items and enemies. And if it was more of an exploration game, then I would probably implement something like that map. But yeah, so this is what I've gone through so far. Super interesting, and I really like the UI of the game. And I can't wait to add on to it. Thank you for watching Devlog number 1.